All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Web3 Marketing Conference. As you know, today we're going to be, as the title states, we're going to be talking more about marketing. And so, yes, there is this question of what is Web3 that we're going to address, but we're not going to go too much into detail, but more we're going to try to answer this question, what is Web3 marketing? And I have to say, frankly, this is a huge confusion. Why? Because today's Web3 projects are using Web2 technologies. And so what is Web3 marketing exactly? And so this does not necessarily exist yet. And so what can we expect? And so this is why we decided to do have this conference to also project into the future, but also to see what's happening today and what is working now. And also to clarify this theme called Web3 marketing. Now, first of all, I can see from the crowd that there's a lot of students here of mine, and congratulations for coming, because you are the students that are going to be the superstars of the future, because you are the curious ones. You are the ones who are looking forward into the future. And this is not a joke, this is true. And I'm very proud of you and the fact that you guys are here. Okay, so first of all, congratulations. By the way, for those of you who are not students, I want you to know that they were not obliged to be here, but it is optional. And also we have some professionals who are in the field. For some of you, anyone here professional marketers who are in the field of marketing? We have a few people. Okay, you have two or three people. And this is also for the professionals of marketing, and also for alumni and anyone else who are curious to learn more about Web3 and marketing. So welcome, everyone. Now, tonight we have two special guests. One special guest from ICP and Shruti, and ICP is a platform that is not so well known, but really encompasses this concept of a full Web3 marketing platform that's going to be possible. And she can explain a little bit more into detail why, with existing blockchain technologies, the cobbling together a Web3 marketing platform is going to be a little bit more difficult and maybe not so secure and even cumbersome, and maybe not even possible in many cases. And so this is why I've invited Shruti to explain what is ICP, what they're doing, and some of the exciting projects that are in the works that have not even been launched yet. And on my right, I have Verity, who is a student and a co-collaborator of mine for this conference. And she represents Subtipub, where I teach at also. I teach at ESCE and Subtipub. And so this is a huge occasion to put together this, this conference that is co-supported by these two schools, which is part of the Omnes group. And for me, these two schools that I teach at, c'est cher à moi, meaning, and it's these two schools that really specialize in marketing. I think this is, it is to have this kind of conference. And so I'm very thankful for Verity for her help to bring this together. And we did this in English because she is from, she doesn't. You speak French, right? But you're from you're from New Zealand. I keep thinking Australia. I didn't want to make a mistake. Yeah. So she's part of the English-speaking community here for marketing. And this conference is in English for a couple of reasons. First of all, because we want to record this so that we can share this with more of a larger international community, because ICP is an international community and the whole blockchain community is more international. For those French speakers, we will have a special French conference, not so much in Web3 marketing, but with Web3 ecosystems. And we'll have that on December 1st. So for those of you who are bilingual, you're welcome to come on December 1st. And that will be at the ESCE at the new building in La Défense. Okay, so without much ado, let's get into it. And so the big question is, so what is Web3? And I know many of you already know this, but the concept, and this is also a very huge, big question, because Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the internet, he said Web3 is just a marketing term. It doesn't exist. It's all Web2. And then you have Jack Dorsey from Twitter saying, you know, it should be Web5. Why? Because Web3 doesn't really exist. It's an investment by Silicon Valley investors, and that created the Web3 Foundation, and they just want to promote themselves. So we should call it Web5. Why? Because it's really Web2 plus 3. Right? And so there's a lot of different debates as to what Web3 is, but what's not debatable is the technology that's being developed that is enabling new possibilities. And so what are these new possibilities? Well, if we look at where we are today at Web 2.0, we have all the tools that we are so familiar with today, Dropbox, Google, Netflix, and these are all Web 2. And they're called Web 2 because they're centralized companies. These are companies that have to make a profit, and they mostly make a profit off your data in many cases. Whereas when we go to Web3, what is really important is that, first of all, it becomes more user-centric. So it's not so, these companies, first of all, we eliminate the companies and we put the blockchain instead of the company, so it becomes more efficient. And that allows enormous efficiencies to happen. And so instead of a company having to profit, it's the customer who can retain that profit. And you might say, oh, that's not that negligible. No, we're talking billions of dollars here. We're talking huge amounts of percentages that if we look at how much companies are making off of your data and off of your information, and we can transfer that back to the user, this is enormous, enormous benefit. And this is why the Web3 revolution is a real revolution. It's not just theoretical. And there is real technology behind it. And also what enables this is payment systems. So if we look at payment systems, and if you look at today and we say, yes, we have e-commerce and we can make payments. Yes, but look at how it's being done. And let's take a look here and we look at the traditional financial system and we go and we just by making one e-commerce transactions, we're going through 2 different banks. And we're going through an intermediary like Visa. And so look at how many intermediaries there are and look at how many cuts that have to be made. This is a really, really inefficient system. Okay, that's why we have what we call payment gateways for e-commerce, and they're not the same. And it depends on which payment gateways you work with determines what kind of credit cards you can use, what kind of payment methods you can use. Whereas if we go into blockchain and you use just Bitcoin, Bitcoin is accepted everywhere. Or if you use a certain currency, it could be accepted everywhere. And if we look here on the second, in the decentralized model with the cryptocurrency model, it's just more efficient. Okay, so bottom line, when we get down to payment systems, just payment systems alone makes things a lot more efficient. Okay, and so we're not even talking about identity solutions and all that. We're just talking pure commerce here. Now, let's talk about, we're in a cryptocurrency bear market now, and many of you who are investors have lost a lot of money recently, including myself. And so we think, oh my God, the crypto the blockchain adoption, it's in no one's using it. Everyone is abandoning it. We're running out like cockroaches, right? Not true. Okay, those are what we call the degen investors. They all ran out, okay, and they're all suffering. But if we look at the actual wallet adoption, people who are actually using this on a day-to-day basis, and we look at the number of wallet adoption, and this is by the World Bank, by the way, it's really mirroring the adoption rate of the internet. And it's actually if you look at it, it's tracking it almost on a one-to-one basis. And we are at where 1998 is. So if you think about it, where were we in the internet in 1998? We are so early in the cycle still. And so because if we look at this and we can just map this out straightforward, along with the internet adoption, we can see that we probably still have many more years to go before this becomes mainstream. So it's not going to happen overnight. And so, yes, the only difference is that this time around, thanks to cryptocurrency, we have beautiful hype cycles, right? And so for those who are smart, can make money off of this, but you could also lose a lot of money. But that aside from all the hype cycles here, what remains really, really important is the adoption cycle. Like, what is the adoption rate? Who is actually using it? Are there applications? Are there developers building it? And are there people using this? And so we know, but on the other hand, because this is, we're talking about marketing, I just want to bring this simple chart about how the evolution of marketing and where we are today. And as you can look here, we used to start with the marketplace. And if you look at the very I think it's the left end for you. And we can see that it's the physical marketplace, which is still important. This is how marketing used to be. We just didn't have to do advertising. And it was starting with the newspaper that advertising became the most important marketing medium. And if you saw Mad Men, you will see kind of the history of the New York advertising industry. And it was really privileging a very few companies who had a lot of money to do business because they're the ones who could afford the mass advertising. And that lasted until the TV age. And then when the internet age came, this is when decentralization started to begin. This is when anyone can start a shop and can compete with the big boys. And that's where we are today. Except today, we are moving into more of a mobile environment. And so today, what does that mean, mobile environment? And why is that different than a social media environment? Well, in the social media environment, we said, okay, we could go viral. And today it's a lot more difficult. Why? Because we want our privacy. We don't want just fake news. We don't want just anyone trying to hit us up. And so privacy has become a really important issue. And this is what the mobile era represents. Now, let's talk about the evolution. These are my students. I'm doing a little bit of a course in my marketing class, but sorry if it's a review. But this is how marketing has evolved. It's evolved from sell the product, 1.0 marketing, and that has become very competitive in the advertising world. So then now we have to do segmentation and targeting. And this is where many students end marketing and say, yes, I know marketing because they learned the fundamentals of marketing. But it's only marketing 1.0 and 2.0. And of course, this is Kotler, by the way. So it's not me who came up with this theory. And then we move into social media. And social media is where we really begin to see the revolution and changes, where we say now it's digital marketing strategies, right? And so this is why digital marketing strategies are so different from traditional marketing strategies. Remember, we're not doing advertising. The focus is not to advertise. The focus is really to create a community. And this is where we move into 4.0. And 4.0 marketing is really to develop that trusted community. And so if you want to break this down, there are two kinds of marketing. One, we can do push, and this is mostly advertising, where we're going to pay our way in. And even if we're using Instagram, we can still pay influencers. And for me, that is still 1.0, 2.0 marketing. Or we can be a little bit more delightful and innovative and content-oriented and try to pull our client in. Customers in, and thus we have a real true community. Now, I'm going to tell you, big brands cannot do this. They have a hard time doing this, and they're not structured to do 4.0 marketing. Why? Because already their distribution system is mass. So when you have like 1,500 distribution points, you're not going to be able to do social media and get all the nooks and crannies in all the communities throughout the world and still cover all your territories, right? And so these big brands who have huge distribution are kind of stuck in their traditional model. And so that is why, even though they understand this theoretically, they just can't do it. And so what this leaves a huge opportunities for today for small brands and startups to create a community and to develop this in an organic way and to really take down the giants. And this is what is happening. This is the revolution, which we call the digital marketing revolution. And now, here's the big question. What's next? Okay, so this is today. This is what we have to do. But what about marketing 5.0? What is that? And according to Kotler, marketing 5.0 is, okay, so now you have a community. Okay, so marketing 5.0 requires 4.0. You cannot just go right away to 5.0. You have to have a community first. Okay, so now you have a community. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to try to predict what they want. It's not so much like, look at TikTok. TikTok predicts what you want. This is crazy, right? And so, and these are dumb dance videos, right? How do you know that exactly what people want? And this is why I think that the power of algorithms are reaching very ingenious levels. And this is where data comes into play in a very large way. And also we have contextual marketing, and then augmented marketing is with AR, VR, and all these other new technologies, IoT, that are going to be coming in. But what's also important is the concept of agility. So what does this mean? It means that we're already doing this, okay? So agility means when we do customer experience focused marketing, we're not trying to push the customer over the head with an advertisement. What we're doing is we're listening. We're listening, and let's say some event happens, and we have to be ready at all times, 24 hours, to react to that, and to be able to comment on that, and to repost that. And so this is why agility is really required in a 5.0 environment, because it's a constant dialogue with your consumer base, right? And your community. And so the marketing 5.0 looks very similar to it is actually marketing 4.0, but except we would say it's on steroids, okay? It's on steroids with technological drugs, right? And so these new technological drugs includes Web3 marketing. And so what is Web3? Well, marketing 5.0, I'll get to that. And so marketing 5.0, to elaborate this a little bit more, this is the full part of the customer journey. Of course, when we look at the customer journey, from being aware, how to get aware, to create advocacy here, there are so many touch points that technology is going to be a part of this. And so this is the marketing 5.0. Now, how does Web 3.0 fit into this? Well, it is part of the marketing 5.0 journey. And so if we look at Web3 technologies, meaning privacy, meaning cryptocurrency, the facility to transact, and identity solutions, and to verify that you're actually real, right? This is actually a big problem today. There's so many fake accounts. Just look at Elon Musk and Twitter, right? And so we can just see how important trying to verify someone's identity is. Now, this sounds so obvious, but it's so difficult. Why? Because it's the way the internet has been built. Okay, so far. It's been built because in the beginning, it was built on freedom, and freedom meant anonymity. And anonymity meant scams. And so this is the same problem with cryptocurrencies, is that if you don't know who you're transacting with, and you're not sure, you're falling into a scam. So what is the solution for this? Well, the solution is that if you just think about it, we have a passport, and we can put it on our mobile phone. Why don't we have a mobile phone why don't we have a mobile phone version of our passport? It sounds so simple. Technologically, it can be done. It's more of a political issue. It has to do with identity. It has to do with RGDP. It has to do with the European Union. It has to do with 27 countries agreeing for this also. But technologically, it is possible to have a digital passport on your mobile phone that we can use to verify our identities, to sign transactions, to do so many things. And so this will, imagine how much power of commerce this will unlock. Okay, just that alone. Now, I'm telling you that this is coming. Okay? Now, the big question is when, okay? Why do I know it's coming? Because if you look at the European Union and its initiatives of creating a European Union-wide blockchain, this infrastructure is currently being built out. And so this is why the regulations are being being put into place. And so this is being worked out. And so will the reality of a Web 3.0 happen? Yes, simply yes, because it's inevitable. Okay, why is it inevitable? I just showed you, just having a passport here on my telephone. And then, think about it. Now we go to the vote, we vote for our politicians. Right now, look how difficult it is to vote for someone. Why can't we just vote using our mobile phones? Right? Look at how much that will help even democracy. And so that is why when you have such a demand such as that, I would say it's inevitable. Okay, the consumer demand is too high. And so those kinds of changes are about to happen, and that's what Web 3.0 really represents. Now, let's take a look at Web 3.0 today. Well, what are the apps? Well, we have Web 2.0 apps that are in Web 3.0 version. Of course, in many of these cases, these Web 3.0, they really fail at attracting their communities. Their user experience is not so good. And so just like any startups, a lot of these projects might fail. But at least what we see here is that some of these projects are gaining traction, and having a decentralized version of centralized companies is part of the Web 3.0 promise. And of course, you're going to see with Shruti, it's coming and it's being built out and it's constantly. Now, the reason why there is so much distrust in this is because of 2017. What happened in 2017, if you don't remember, there was a huge cryptocurrency crash. That was the crash before this one right now that we are experiencing. And in that crash, there were so many scam projects. Everything. There was a YouTube, a decentralized version of YouTube. There was a decentralized version of Uber. Everything you saw in the current today's marketplace, everyone just came out with the scam version of it, right? And what was missing back then was a real understanding of what was blockchain. And back then it wasn't possible. Ethereum was 17 transactions per second, and it costed like up to $200 per transaction. Nothing is going to be built out on that. So in 2017, even though these ideas to do something like this were being launched, those people who really knew that there were scams. And many people fell for that, right? And therefore they say, no, I'm not going to fall for it this time. Except the difference is today, it's possible. We have the technology. We have the layer 2s. We have the technology. We have the transactions per second. And this dream of this decentralized versions of even existing today's centralized companies I'm going to show you some examples, are actually doing very well and gaining traction. Okay, and this is very important to understand that the distinction between where we are today technologically versus where we were in 2017. So, now, if you're a Web3 marketing company today, what are you really doing? You're doing Web2 marketing, okay? And so, and that's where there's a confusion. And you're doing Web 4.0 marketing, okay? So you're not even at 5.0 yet, okay? So 5.0 is the future. We're at 4.0 marketing, and you're primarily using these tools, Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, okay? And so we call this in the marketing world, marketing 4.0, right? Now, the difference is that these companies who are, if you're a cryptocurrency company or video game companies, you're probably doing this kind of marketing, and this is your focus because you're forced to. Why? Because of 2017 scams, Facebook and Google banned advertising for cryptocurrency companies. So they had no choice. They couldn't do 1.0, 2.0 marketing. They were forced into 3.0 and 4.0 marketing. And this is actually a blessing in disguise because these companies had to learn how to develop communities using just these 3 tools. And they did, and if you look at some successful companies, they show us enormous successful cases, and they teach us how this could be done. We can create brands today just using these 3 apps, right? And this is amazing. So if you're a startup, you shouldn't be thinking about trying to use like 5 different channels. To focus on these 3, and you can develop your community, your brand, and you can really establish a whole new paradigm for marketing. And this is really amazing. And this is what cryptocurrency projects have really taught me. And so, yes, we're not necessarily in 5.0 marketing yet, but you know what? It's coming because with platforms like ICP and the tools that they're going to be providing, we're going to be able to provide these pure Web3 marketing platforms. So instead of Discord, by the way, if you don't know the problems of Discord is, first of all, it's not that user-friendly, okay? They could be a lot more user-friendly. But the biggest problem with Discord is that it's a centralized company and they have all your data. So these are decentralized companies giving away all their customer data information to a centralized company. That's kind of ironic, I'd say, right? I'd say if you're a decentralized company, you'd be screaming for a decentralized version of Discord. And it's coming. And it's coming, right? And that's exactly, again, if there's a demand, you're going to see it, and it's coming. And so and if we look at something like Discord, what is it? It's really, it's not just a chat app. I call it a CRM 2.0. So CRM today is what? It's mostly email and SMS, right? But now Discord we don't need the CRM because that's where the CRM happens, and it's happening on a more dynamic basis based on chat. And of course, you're going to have a lot more engagement through this because it's dynamic. And so this is the evolution of CRM. And so now, if you think about this, if you are a Web 3.0 company, you're going to say, why am I giving my data to Discord? I would rather use something that gives me a little bit same features, but I can control the data myself, right? And that's how the evolution happens, right? And of course, and if you look at Telegram, this is what's the problem with Telegram? Well, so many scams, right? And so these are things, of course, that are going to be fixed with more clearer identity solutions. And Twitter, actually, I'm hoping that Elon Musk can figure it out and fix the identity problem as quickly as possible. But Twitter, if they cannot do this, will be tweeted out of existence because again, it is a trust issue here. Now, what makes today's Web3 projects successful? Like, these are companies that like I've invested in, and these are companies that have done really, really well. First of all, they're the ones who are able to create a community, and but they did it mostly through what we call flywheel marketing. And so, what is the concept of flywheel marketing? The flywheel marketing is so because actually cryptocurrency companies, they had the money, but they couldn't spend it on advertising. So what did they spend it on? They spent it on giving it back to the consumer, right? So they did competitions, and then in order to apply to these competitions, you had to like and subscribe and repost, and that's how we get the flywheel communication going. And this, again, is for those people who say, no, how can you do marketing with a zero budget? Well, you can. Okay, this is possible. We don't need to spend on advertising. We can use that money instead to reward our consumers, or to do, or even better, like what Amazon is doing, just improve our services and our competitivity so that we are inapproachable. And so this is Amazon's flywheel. But if we take a look at just from a communication and marketing perspective, instead of spending on advertising, why don't you take that money and give it back to your consumers and reward them? Right? And so this is why the model of marketing, we're moving from the funnel-based marketing and into the flywheel-based marketing. And so what is the flywheel? Simply, well, we are not spending it on advertising. We're not trying to convert people over. We are just incentivizing people and rewarding our customers for doing the marketing for us. Okay, very simple concept actually. Okay, or we're creating such a enormous benefit that the more people use it, the more they infect other people. And I'll give you an example, like Tesla. They don't spend any money on advertising, zero. And so what is Tesla's flywheel other than Elon's Twitter account? Okay, so we have Elon's Twitter account, but the Tesla's flywheel model is that they make cars so good that the more cars that they have on the road, the more people who ride in it because you have friends, more they're going to want to buy it. And so really, by just having more cars out there, you have more advocacy, and thus you have more sales. And that's why it's a virtuous cycle. And that's why Tesla does not have to advertise. They just have to just continue. And right now, it's kind of unstoppable. The only thing that's stopping them is if they have poor quality, or the competition starts to catch up and starts to provide something as equivalent to what Tesla's providing. But Tesla and their engineering and their product quality it is not just a question of having the best technology, because Tesla has things that I think that really endear users to the brand. Things like dog mode. Like dog mode. What is dog mode, right? Literally, because it's an electric vehicle, you can keep your dog in the car while it's blazing hot outside, and you don't, and because the air conditioning could be kept on because it's battery powered. It's not an ICE vehicle. And so Tesla is one of the few vehicles in the world that you can actually keep your dog in a place like Arizona or southern France while in the midsummer, and it's legal to do so. And these kinds of little things. But if you think about how many dog owners there are, These are the kinds of things that create immense loyalty to a brand. And so these things that are so small technologically have such big impact emotionally to the consumer. And so again, adding to the flywheel effect. Why? Because why? They're going to tell all their friends about it. And now I also know there's a new trend of people who, there's camper mode with Tesla, that you, instead of because petrol is expensive now, so they're ditching their vans because it's too expensive, and they're buying a Tesla so they can sleep in it all night long because they can control the temperature. So you can actually live in a Tesla instead of living in a van, and this seems to be a trend. Again, they create camper mode. And so these are the things that really does not take that much in terms of technology and has enormous consumer benefits that lead to what we call the flywheel effect. Now, one of my most favorite cases that I like to give is Supreme. Okay, so Supreme, of course, it's since the trade war with China and China lockdowns right now, which is the Supreme's market value has been dropping. But still, the brand is still has a strong presence. But what's astounding about this brand is that it was completely built with no advertising and no paid influencers. So imagine and these are for marketers out there, someone telling you, go build my brand. You cannot buy advertising and you cannot pay influencers, right? And you'll say, what are you talking about? You know? And so this is exactly what flywheel marketing is that at its finest, we're supposed to be able to attack these challenges, which for a traditional marketer is seemingly impossible. But I'm going to give you so many cases that it's possible, right? And so if you look at Supreme, and what they did is they really created what we call the hype model and the hype marketing model. And this is what, if you bought an NFT, this is what you fell into. You fell into the Supreme hype marketing model. And the irony of all of this is that Supreme invented this model, like whitelisting, being selected to get in, and then waiting 3 hours in line to finally be able to buy. And all of this, they invented all of this. And so they're able to sell a t-shirt for 30 euros, and then the resellers are able to flip that on the secondary market for up to more than 1,000. A t-shirt, like this says Supreme on it, it's $1,000, right? This is hype. And this is exactly what happened, why NFT projects succeeded. It's no wonder NFTs crashed 95%. Okay? Now, why did that happen? Well, it's not all NFT projects, and we're going to talk about NFT projects afterwards. But the thing is that this is where the ideas came from. And yet the irony of this is that Supreme has never launched an NFT yet. They invented the whole hype marketing model that every single NFT successful NFT projects have probably used in some way or another, but Supreme itself has never launched an NFT project. And the same goes with Pokemon. Pokemon is one of the, if you look at gaming, if you look at decentralized gaming, Axie Infinity, and I can tell you so many decentralized games have copied the Pokemon model, except Pokemon has never launched its own decentralized game yet, or NFT or anything. And this I find very fascinating, right? Is this strategic or are they holding out to save their own existing market share? And this kind of reminds me of Clay Christensen's model of why companies don't change is because they can't disrupt themselves. Okay, because they're stuck in their model. They're going to lose their existing customers. And so this is to show you how innovation really can take hold. Okay, so this is just so even though you have existing players and you're using them by just shifting it into the NFT world or the Web3 world, yes, there is a substantial difference because companies will not change. Okay, and this is an example of that. Yes. now that we don't have a support, hopefully we'll have it fixed by then. And we do have a POAP, by the way. By the way, this event for you, by being here, you will earn a free NFT. And this NFT is, for those of you who don't know what a POAP is, it's called a Proof of Attendance Protocol, meaning that by being here, you can scan and get an NFT that proves that you are at this conference, okay? And it is a legitimate proof. And this is important. Why? Maybe now, not now, but for those students in the future, because it is legitimate proof that you attended this event, you can collect these and hope, and maybe in the future, it will be legitimate enough so that you can get actual credit for it. Okay, and so, and for those of and for employers, especially in the Web3 world, they love to see your POAPs. They love to see like that you attended these events, because this is how education happens. It does not happen in the classroom. Trust me. I would love to teach this. Just my students would find me a little too weird. All right, when I talk about this, okay, because they think I'm talking about like marketing on Mars or something, right? And so this is the problem. And so because we are we are thinking future forward, but I'm honestly, what I'm talking right now is not so much into the future. I'm talking now. Okay, those who are real marketers in this field and who are professionals, I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about the fantasy of the future. And it's just that education, I have to say, unfortunately, is a little behind. And so education for me is not learned in the classroom. A lot of it, especially if you want to learn what's useful today, is going to be learned in the field, going to these conferences and in specific these areas. Okay, and so to go back to flywheel marketing, an example of flywheel marketing. So we have, and it could be very, very simple. Okay, so let's talk about Uber, and how did Uber penetrate the French market so quickly, so efficiently, and almost in the most cutthroat way? Very simple. They did no advertising. They did not kiss up to any influencer. They paid no influencer. And how did they do this? Very simple. They just simply said, I will give you a free ride if you refer to someone else, and if that someone else takes the free ride, I will give you both a free ride. That's it. That's it. And so, of course, they had exceptional service. Okay, so they put a lot of money into nice cars, beautiful dressed drivers, which is all gone now, of course. But back then, when you actually look at the consumer behavior, what was really important back then was the trustability of the driver, the quality of the car, and they knew it. And they knew that it would work. And now if you had the incredible price point, and on top of that, you got a free ride to try it out, this was the, you couldn't deny it. And so this, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of flywheel communications and marketing at its finest, in its simplest form and its most elegant form, by just offering a simple free ride. Now, I know some of you are thinking, yeah, why can't we do that with everything, right? Well, unfortunately, we don't buy clothing every day like we take Uber rides every day. So if we're in fashion, we can't give away our clothing because it's like giving away our business, right? And so we have to think of other ways to incentivize these guests other than trying to copy these models and paste it and thinking it's going to work. Okay, and then what happens? Well, every other company started to do the same thing, and so it doesn't become special anymore. And then if you keep doing that, then the customer will expect everything to be free. Right? And then you can't go back. And so this is why marketing is not a copy paste. Flywheel, yes, it can work, but you cannot copy paste it. You have to make sure that it is surprising, it is fresh, it is original. Now, other companies that use flywheel marketing, of course, is Pinterest, WordPress, Epic Games, and in the video game world, it's mostly flywheel marketing that works the best. Now, these kinds of flywheel marketing is not like Uber in the sense that you can just offer an incentive, a discount, free ride and get away with it, but it's a lot more involved into their business model and the engagement and the user experience and the fun and a lot of things. And so there's a lot more involved. And if you could just think about Pinterest, Pinterest does not need to market Pinterest. Pinterest itself is a marketing platform. And so this is a kind of way to think on an Uber level of how to go about this. Now, it's a shame that I don't have, let me see if I can get this up. the screen went down. Yeah, is it possible to ask them to, because if they can, the technician to come to so that they can do the screen? And so we're gonna talk about a topic of NFTs. Okay, so how many think NFTs are dead? Anyone here? NFTs, are they dead? Okay, some people think that they're dead, and this is some people think that NFTs are dead. Well, and this is I'm going to tell you the reality is that on OpenSea, NFT prices have dropped like 95% in terms of not just price, but in terms of trading activities from its all-time high. And so so in a sense that yes, the dumb monkey NFTs are dead. Okay, the PFPs, we call it picture profile, they're dead. Right? All the derivatives of just a simple JPEG and saying that's a collectible and trying to get away with that, yes, that's dead. Okay, and thank God it's dead. Okay, and because we have to move on. Okay, but the problem is the shock is so hard for so many people that we think that, oh my God, it's NFTs itself is just mentioning it is kind of like poison. But I'm going to tell you something. For those marketers who really know what you're doing, NFTs, it's just beginning. Okay, like for today, for example, you're going to scan a Popo app, right? And it's a proof of attendance. It has real utility behind it. It is not to collect it so that you can resell it and become rich, right? And so the motivations are quite different here. And so we're not talking about trying to hype something up and trying to blow it out of its own proportions and values. What we're trying to do is just understand and try to create real value. And that's where NFTs become very interesting. But then again, let's go and talk a little bit about hype, okay? Because I love hype. And even in the hype, it's not dead yet. It's just that today, if you want NFT project to work, you have to be a little bit innovative, just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to give you a case. Everyone know who Azuki is, or anyone heard of Azuki? Azuki is a NFT community. It's part of this community that is actually launched kind of late, actually, as an NFT community. And but it's one of the more successful communities because it's centered around the theme of manga. But other than that, what they did recently is they launched a PBT backed NFT. So it's a physical back token. So they launched 9 golden skateboards, or 8. Actually, they launched 8 into the marketplace. And those skateboards, if you scan it, it's a physical skateboard that you got, and it was backed by an NFT. So it was an NFT backed by a physical product, right? So a physical product, it wasn't just a simple digital product. It was digital with a physical. Now, this raised about $2.5 million in probably one of the worst NFT marketplaces right now. And on top of that, one of the skateboards sold, I think, for up to $450,000. Okay, so this is just to go to show you that no, NFTs hype is not dead. Okay, just that you just have to be just a little bit more innovative than just dumb copy monkey pictures. Okay, and if you are, and this is why innovation is so important, yes, you're going to get the results. And so even the hype marketing that's behind it is not dead. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. And so it's very important to understand this, is because human psychology, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of classic. Okay, it's kind of classic. And so yes, you have the overall cycles, because what are those cycles? Those are people trying to copy everyone else. Yes, that's dead. Thank God it's dead, right? But innovation and freshness, if you have a little bit of that, you're going to be able to succeed, and succeed wildly. And so I wish I can show you this, what I'm seeing here, but if you look at different NFT categories, we are looking at, there's so many different categories of NFTs yet that are happening right now, especially in gaming. And in gaming, and so if you look at in-game assets, like if you think about Fortnite, you bought a skin, right? And you paid all this money for it. You want to be able to resell it. You want to be able to actually like have it and have it be yours. But in reality, where it's centralized, the game owns it, and they can take away all your assets anytime that they want to. And so if you think about it and you invest so much time into a video game, you don't want to lose the asset. So you want to be able to trade it. And so this is another logical extension of NFTs, which is going to happen. Okay, it's just that we're still in the early stages. And if we look at concerts and media content, well, what's going to happen with the World Cup is that the World Cup that you're going to see now is you can own piece of the original FIFA, like a game, and they're going to break up the game into different NFT pieces, and you're going to be able to own one of those NFT pieces, right? And it's going to be the official content. Now, the big question is, okay, great. So that's not that original. What can you do with that afterwards? And so here we come up with whole new possible fantasy games that are derivatives of the World Cup that we're going to be experiencing now. Okay. And so again, that's another use case for NFTs. And so, so there's so many use cases that we haven't even been able to, that we haven't even explored yet, and ticketing. And so this is another use case for NFTs that we haven't explored yet. But right now, ticketing is going to be, and this is a real problem. I don't know if you heard, but I think about 3 or 4 months ago, there was a game at Paris Saint-Germain where there were fake tickets being sold, and the people who held the fake tickets got let in, and the people who had the real tickets were left out, and they couldn't go in. So imagine how pissed off people were, and they caused a huge riot. And so now the Stade de France they're literally putting into place NFT-backed tickets. And so this is a real need that is happening at the moment. And this is real adoption, okay? This is not hype marketing. And so we can see that real adoption is coming. Now, I haven't even touched the biggest use case for NFTs yet. The biggest problem with luxury is what? Counterfeits, fake products. Fake products today account for more than $500 billion of losses for companies. 500 billion. And some people say if you look at software and everything else, it could go up to $4 trillion. So if you look at the real need for NFTs today, it is to do anti-counterfeiting. And this is, again, a huge market and a huge use case that we're just beginning to see implemented into the marketplace. Okay? And just to let you know, Supreme spends so much money. They have some of the best lawyers in the world because, and I feel sorry for them, they have to defend a t-shirt, right? How do you prove that this t-shirt is original, right? They have the hardest job in the world. I'd rather have an NFT that just tells me if it's original or not. And so, so we can just simply see the demand. And so again, where you have enormous demand such as this, it's going to be inevitable. Okay? Now, another big question, is the metaverse dead? Okay, we can see that the Zuckerberg experience is flopping, right? But I just want to let everyone know that the metaverse is not meta. Okay, it is not, especially it's not Horizon's world. It is not this like devoid world where you go into and you just like wander around and aimlessly trying to figure out what you want to do, right? That is not the metaverse. Okay, that is probably one aspect of the metaverse. So the metaverse is something that it's not quite yet understood very clearly. So metaverse has to do with a lot of different aspects, so which is augmented reality and then virtual reality. And then we have things like virtual learning. We have entertainment, video games. Video games are metaverses, okay? There's so many different video games, and so we have so many different metaverses. And does metaverse have to be necessarily 3D immersive? No, it could be a 2D metaverse, right? Actually, when we use Zoom, that's the kind of metaverse that we're in at the moment. And so we have virtual work settings, and so this will definitely become this is definitely going to, so these, you see so many sectors of the metaverse, and they're all being built out simultaneously. Okay, and so when students look at me and they go, oh, Mr. Kim, but you know, this metaverse thing, it's kind of stupid and it's dumb, I agree. Okay, yeah, certain metaverse is like, you know, you're there and there's really, you don't get much reaction. It's almost like you're walking with other zombies around, avatar zombies, and that's not fun, right? And so you're going to see that that is not necessarily what the metaverse is, right? The metaverse is where narration, storytelling takes on new dimensions. And so, and it augments today's world on what we can do. Now, for me, it's kind of like looking at Star Trek and seeing and being able to do things that we weren't able to do before. But today, with augmented reality, we are already there. We are already at that kind of Star Trek possibilities. And so if we look at the power of the metaverse and its use cases, again, we're just at the very beginning stages. And again, it is going to happen. Now, if you look at luxury brands, and so why does luxury brands have to be in the metaverse? Okay, well, because if you think about Louis Vuitton cannot sell on e-commerce online at the moment. Why? Because if they do, it's too cheap. It's not a luxury experience. Right now, 2D, if you can have the same buying experience as you would buy any cheap Amazon product, there's no luxury to it. There's no added value. And in fact, it degrades the value of your product. And so that is why Louis Vuitton cannot just sell 2D online e-commerce like every other brand. There's not enough brand experience tied to that. And so that is why the metaverse is so interesting to luxury brands, because it adds that experiential component to e-commerce. So you're not selling someone something. You're providing an experience where they're organically led to buying something. Okay? And then why would luxury brands work in the metaverse? Because if you look at it from a strategic perspective, this is international marketing 2.0. So what is that? So international marketing means what? Cross-border and doing marketing beyond more than one countries. And here we have a global marketing platform. And so you have people from all around the world coming on one platform. And so if I'm a business strategist and I say, do I want to spend $3 million opening up a shop in Paris, or do I want to spend $1 million and pouring it into the metaverse? I probably would spend it on the metaverse. Right? Because if you think about it, it's less costly, less risky, and you're going to have customers from around the world. Okay? It's just that the demographics at the moment is quite young. That's all. All right? But it's growing up. It's growing up. But you see, it's just strategically more logical. Now, if you look at another Web3 component, 3.0 component, is what we call a DAO. So what is a DAO? It is a Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And again, this is what the blockchain allows. I don't know if you remember when I said, you're voting, why don't we have voting yet? Well, this is an essential component to a DAO, is that we're able to vote, and this allows us to participate in decision-making of a protocol or a project, and we can actually, like a board member, participate, except we don't have to be a board member. We can just be a token holder. Or we can even just be a customer, or we can even just be a fan. Like, for example, imagine being a fan of like PSG, and you can vote on fan initiatives, and you can say which projects you want to support and not support, and you can do this through the mobile phone. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is not fantasy. It's real. It's actually, we have so many DAO projects that are opening up right now. And so if we think about it again, logically, why is this going to happen? Well, because it's giving the power back to the consumer. Okay, and so now the problem with DAOs is that if you look here to the left and right, is that it's chaotic. Okay, and how do you organize it? How do you limit the powers? And this is, again, there's no easy answer. Democracy is a really messy business, by the way. And so the problem when you have centralized companies and a hierarchical structure that you see on the right side versus a decentralized autonomous that you see on the left side, the downside is when you have a lot of people participating, you probably will have a lot of chaos, and it will probably lead to mob rule, and you will lead to a lot of things that you do not want. And then you have to do a lot of thinking and strategizing to try to figure out, how do I prevent the scammers from scamming, right? And so this is where a lot of brain power is being put in at the moment to really say, how do we make this fair? And so again, we're at the beginning stages of this, but this is a really great democratic experience. Now, if you think about the French concept of associations, it is pretty much a similar concept, except now these associations do not have to be geographically located. We can have associations that are literally global. and it's not country specific. And this is what we are seeing with cryptocurrency projects at the moment, and they are working. And they are working, like Cardano, that's working, by the way. And many people didn't believe it worked, but it's working. You see a lot of these DAOs initiatives that you see, and they are working. And ICP ICP is a DAO, yeah. And again, this is another example of a project, and because it's kind of confusing, because ICP, when we think Dfinity is the organization that contributes most to ICP, but it's not the only foundation. And so there are several foundations, and this is to keep it honest in a way. But also, I'll let Shruti explain it more. But you'll see that these kinds of models and organizations represent the Web3 model, and it's a very important part of Web3. Now, what about Web3 today? So let's talk about what's gaining traction. So today, if you heard of the Brave browser. The Brave browser, by the way, has 58 million monthly active users. And so it is gaining traction. This is not just some experiment anymore. This is a real project. And if you've used it, you will see why. Now, the reason why the Brave browser is so unique and so interesting is that you are actually being paid to watch advertising. Now, think about that concept. You watch so if you're on the Brave browser, instead of Google through Chrome making profit off of advertising from your eyeballs and you're watching it, that money instead goes back to the people who actually use it. So you are literally being paid tokens in Brave for watching advertising if you choose to. Now you can choose to turn it off and you can have more of an ad-free experience. But this is incredible. Like think about it. Like you're getting paid to watch ads, and so these are the kinds of efficiencies that Web3 will bring. Now, of course, when we look at the reality compared to Chrome, which is 2.65 billion users, and these are daily active users, not monthly active users, we're going to see that we still have a lot of room to grow. We're still in the early stages. So this is why maybe those companies don't feel the immediate threat at the moment. Now, let's take another use case, Audius. I don't know if you've heard of Audius, but it's a music streaming company, and it's challenging Spotify. And they have already met 7.5 million users, okay? And they're growing quite well. And again, they're gaining traction in the marketplace. And their advantage by being a blockchain and rather than by being a centralized company is that they're able to give back to the artist up to 70% of the revenues that from advertising that they receive. Whereas if you're Spotify, you're giving 3% at best back to the artist. So if you think about it, this is like more than 10 times. And anything that has 10 times more benefit, it's 10 times more efficient, it's bound to take over, okay? And so I kind of see Spotify being disrupted imminently, okay? And of course, but however, they do have 433 million users, okay? Now, of course, we'll see if Spotify can put a defensive strategy, but I doubt it. They're already caught up. They're already stuck in their model, right? So, and so I see a huge threat here from decentralized projects like Audius being able to disrupt Spotify in the near future. Now, in summary, I just want to go over some key points here because I am a professor, so I have to do this. Today's Web3 projects need to succeed in building communities through Web2. So yes, so this is why there's a confusion. Yes, today's Web3 companies are using Web2 technologies and marketing 4.0 methods, okay? And so Web3 is an integral part of marketing 5.0, which we're not there yet, okay? So this is why Web3 in itself is a technology in the making. We are seeing bits and pieces of it. We're seeing an emergence of it. And when it does come, and especially when the identity solution is resolved, we're probably going to move into what we call the marketing 5.0 era. Okay? Now, the marketing 5.0 era does not necessarily mean Web 3.0. Okay? Web 3.0 participates as part of the Marketing 5.0 era. Okay? Now, the adoption of Web3 through cryptocurrency adoption is tracing the growth of the internet back in 1998, which I showed you. So even though you might hear a lot about NFTs and cryptocurrencies where it's a scam, FTX is blowing up the market, yes, but that's just based on the nominal price of what these tokens are worth. The adoption rate and the real usage and what's happening behind the scenes is growing nevertheless. Okay, it's not being affected by the prices. Now, flywheel marketing is the key to success for marketing 4.0, 5.0, and Web3. And so flywheel marketing, the concept that, again, you don't want to pay advertising. What you want to do is you want to reward your customers. You want to provide better value. This is going to be even more prominent. And so the concept of not paying for advertising is going to be a must. So this is kind of a strategic shift that we're happening from advertising models into customer-driven models, and so customer advocacy-driven models. And this is a very exciting shift for me because advertising really is a sunk cost. It's a necessary evil. And actually, how many of us really say, I really love that ad on Google, on YouTube when I click on that video when I see it, okay? So we can just see that alone shows us that we hate advertising, okay? And but we don't hate it enough so that we will put up with it because we know that we're getting content that we really want. But it is not something we're asked for. Now, NFTs require freshness and innovation. We are just beginning of its use cases. So do not be fooled by this bear market of NFTs saying NFTs are a bunch of crap. Yeah, just the ones that have monkey derivatives of Bored Ape Yacht Club. Those are out, right? But if we look at it, even these NFT communities with just a little bit of innovation and freshness, you're going to see they're going to start pumping up their community again. People are going to start buying in droves, at least among their community. And because they're going to be moving into Web 5.0, their 5.0 marketing. They're going to understand how to excite their communities. And those are the projects that are going to bounce back. But again, which ones we've yet to see, okay? Because its innovation is easy to say, hard to do. Now, Metaverse will mature and grow. So don't be fooled. Even if Meta goes bankrupt, by spending all the billions. It is not just Meta. There's many projects, especially with decentralized projects like the Sandbox, Ultra Gaming, and that's just in the gaming. And then you have the education field. You have so many different fields. And the Metaverse is something that is really on a very exciting future that is going to, which is coming really fast. Now, DAOs will empower the consumer. Now, the problem, what's unlocking DAOs is identity solutions. And once we can solve this identity problem, you will have more honest DAOs and DAOs that work a lot better. And in a way, do we need the Federal Reserve to regulate us? Well, if we have clear identity solutions, I would say we don't even need that. We can have a reputation system that we can start regulating people's behaviors and keeping people more honest. Now, if you look at Facebook and what they did for the internet, they really allowed e-commerce to happen. So before Facebook, I don't know if you were still around, but back in the 1990s, we couldn't do e-commerce because you didn't know who you were doing with, because everyone was this emoji or some kind of avatar, and everyone's name was some kind of Kit Kat something, whatever, and you never know who you were dealing with. But once Facebook came out, and we saw real names, and we saw that there were real photos, and just with real photos alone kind of created this real profile, even though some people were ingenious in creating catfish profiles. But for the most part, we had real identities. And because we had real identities, we had real people. And real people, when we did transactions, we knew who we were dealing with. And so this allowed e-commerce to flourish. And so you have to realize the importance of identities. And this, with blockchain, it's going to become more of a top-down initiative related to governments. And again, so once I can say we can have our passport in our mobile phone, means that it will be on the blockchain. And then when that happens, we will unlock a huge power of DAOs. Meaning that as a consumer, you will not just be consuming, you will be participating, and you will be rewarded for participating in the decision-making of your brands that you buy. Okay? And that is Web 3.0. And this is kind of where we're moving, is that the consumer ultimately will have to benefit more. And then you benefit in ways that you never thought that was quite possible, such as watching ads, and you can actually make money watching ads, okay? Now, and to leave it off, yes, major disruptions will happen, okay? Again, why haven't they happened yet? Because the technology wasn't there. Okay, 2017 was a big mirage, but now we have the technology. So you will see in the coming years that the disruptions will happen. Okay, and I would like to leave it at that, and thank you very much for your attention. And now I'll pass to Verity, who represents Soup to Poop, and who will walk you through how to claim your POAP.
Thanks, Kim. Hi everyone, thanks for coming here tonight. As Kim said, I am in Soup to Poop, and I am in the International Marketing and Branding program here. As Kim said before, I'm from New Zealand, so just to start off, how did I get here from the other side of the world? I worked in PR for 4 years at an agency back there. And during my time there, I got a chance to work with a bunch of multinational companies, which is what kind of made me make my move to France, because I went, oh my God, I kind of want to be at the center of all this, right? I'm in this island on the complete other side of the world and just getting kind of the dribble down. That's how it felt anyway. So I managed to move my life here and worked for a couple of years and decided I wanted to come back to study to learn more about the wider communication field, advertising, marketing, and branding. And so that's what's led me here to Soup to Poop. And here we are fortunate enough to have professors like Mr. Kim, and we kind of get to be at the start of these massive changes that are currently happening, such as Web3 and the Metaverse. So that's what led me to help out with this conference, because me personally, I wanted to kind of learn more about this. But also here I help manage a group of English-speaking communication professionals in France. Shout out to anyone who is here from that tonight. And during these events that I would help manage, a lot of people in the last year have been, hearing talk about Web3 and Metaverse, but thinking, we're communicators, how do we not kind of know about this stuff properly? They felt really like left out. It's kind of this like separate kind of club almost. But it's really important, because these are the people who are marketing these huge brands that are now investing so much money in this technology. So that's another reason why I thought I would help out here. And so here I'm just going to take you through POAP. So we decided to create a little NFT for this event because, as I said, a lot of people are feeling left out of this new change, but we can all actually access it. So we've created a free NFT for anyone who's interested. All you have to do is scan that with your camera, and then you can enter in your email, and it will send you a link to mint the NFT. If you already have a crypto wallet, you can enter in your details. Otherwise, the email is going to tell you exactly what you need to do. It's all pretty straightforward. So yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and thank you.
Thank you, Verity. And please claim your POAP, right? Now I want to introduce our key speaker for tonight, and Shruti. And I met her through a networking meeting. And when I met her, and she said she's from Definity, I'm like, that sounds familiar. And then she mentioned ICP. I'm like, oh, that project that was, that I thought it failed, right? Because the token dropped from $500 at one point to like, I think $4 or something like that. And then we realized recently a lot of that was due to FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. And, but what was so fascinating is that when I first, the project sounded like a scam in the beginning because it was so ambitious. I don't know if you saw Silicon Valley, but it was a sitcom that's very, very popular. If you watch it, one of the episodes and the big project was, we're going to create the decentralized internet. We're going to decentralize everything, right? And if you actually know how the internet works, right, you're going to see that that is almost an impossible proposition, right? And the ICP really is probably the most decentralized. They really have most of the almost, I think, all of the components decentralized, and including the servers. Everything is completely decentralized. And then not only that, because I was the director of Masters of Blockchain, I read the white paper. So confusing, so difficult, right? And but at the same time, so brilliant. It is completely a different approach to really the blockchain solutions, and is probably the most comprehensive in terms of decentralization there is in terms of blockchain solutions out there. And now it was so ambitious that I thought that it was a scam. But looking into it further, especially after I met Shruti, it opened my eyes to what an amazing project this is. And this is one of the projects where you have one of the largest developer communities and activities and commits that you have on the marketplace right now. And this is not known. Everyone is thinking it's Ethereum. Everyone is thinking Cardano. But here we have ICP. And this is why I'm so happy to have Shruti here representing ICP. Please give her a big hand. No?
Thanks, Kim. We're doing our Flywheel marketing, so you don't see us advertising, but it's happening. It's happening as we speak. So let's dive into it. So he's already introduced. So the blockchain itself is called the Internet Computer, and probably the reason behind it is what he already said, that the vision of this blockchain really is to replace the internet and to make it decentralized, to make it community owned, to make it user owned, to make it not owned by monopolies, etc. So there's huge technology that has gone behind developing it. It took around 6-7 years of R&D. It's one of the biggest R&D operation in the blockchain space currently. I'm not going to here talk about technology because that's going to put everybody to sleep. So that's the white paper stuff that we're not here to discuss. But the vision is huge, and what we're going to talk about is the marketing pieces of it and what we can experience in reality right now. So like I said, let's talk about. Sometimes blockchain can be this far away, difficult to understand piece, which most people who are not yet a part of it just feel scared of it, saying blockchain, it's not for me. NFTs, it's not for me. But what we're trying to do is to make blockchain available for everybody by doing simple things, by making marketing tools, by making everyday use applications which are simplified by the power of the internet computer. And I'm just going to summarize from the Web3 point of view. He's already touched upon everything, so we're not going to spend too much time about it. But what's shifted really is one word, which is community. We already touched upon advertising. From advertising, it's become community engagement. From one of the big changes is from organization-led. So let's say Uber decides how much the driver should be paid and how much the charge of that day should be. From that, it's completely changing to user-based and community-led. So the community decides what the driver should be paid. The community decides what the percentage of profit should be. And marketing is going that way as well. And it's completely changed from building large audiences to community building. We already spoke about it. So in a nutshell, he's already covered it, but it's the perspective or the mindset from marketing has changed from looking at users as an audience. So let's advertise, let's get the audience, let's get them to our platform, which is a platform economy. Let's advertise to them and make money out of it. It's completely shifting to making the user the owner, truly the owner of the platform, the product, the project that they are participating in, and the whole thing has moved to the ownership economy from a platform economy. So I would say the key to Web3 marketing are keeping community at the core, but at the same time giving them a true Web3 experience. I'll talk about that a little bit further in my slides. And it has to be based on decentralized ownership. You can't say I've become a community, but I am living by the ways and means of the Web2 platform marketing, right? So then it's not decentralized. It's not Web3. The core of Web3 is decentralizing communities, right? So that's what needs to be enabled. Tough to do, easier said than done, but that's where we are right now. People are doing it. Projects are on right now. Web3 marketing is happening, but the way we see it, the user experience on Web3 marketing is clunky. It is broken. People jump from platform to platform. The ownership that we speak about in our presentations is not really truly decentralized. So for example, let's say you own an NFT and you think you're owning the NFT, but in actuality, you're just owning the code of the NFT. The digital asset, the picture that we're talking about, is actually sitting on Amazon Web Services. So we are feeling that we are owning it, but the ownership is half there. It's not fixed yet. That needs fixing. The ownership has to be complete and on the blockchain, right? That's the main that's the objective. The user data privacy issues persist. So even if you are in a Web3 world today, talking NFTs, being on OpenSea, etc., all your data is getting tracked. Everybody knows who you are. You are sending the advertising is the same as a Web2 marketing is happening. So I see biggest reason is, and Kim already touched about it, is Web2 tools are being used to do Web3 marketing. So obviously it's going to be broken. Obviously it's going to be clunky. It's a broken user experience. I picked up the example of Discord because that's the biggest tool that is being used in the Web3 marketing space, because the projects and the marketeers are using Discord for community management. But for Web3 engagement, let's say the project wants to do an airdrop or an NFT or something, that can't happen on Discord. For that, you go to some other platform. You send people from Discord to OpenSea, where then they are sent from OpenSea to MetaMask, from MetaMask back to OpenSea, from OpenSea back to Discord. That's the kind of user journey that we are really talking about. And on top of that, as we spoke about earlier, Discord is a centralized platform. There are bots. There's no identity check. There are hacks. The biggest Bored Ape hack happened through Discord. Millions huge scams are happening through Discord, and Discord is just an example. There's a big scam that happened through Instagram because somebody copied the Instagram handle of one of the big NFT projects and started distributing stuff over there for free or something. So it's broken because if we continue using Web2 tools for Web3 marketing, it's never going to work. So that's the problem we are trying to solve at the Internet Computer. And we are building projects, we are building platforms, we are building, by we I mean the individual entrepreneurs are building. Our platform is providing the technology for it to be built, which are truly Web3, so integrated in Web3, native Web3 dApps, fully on chain. So everything that you do is on the blockchain. There's no half on blockchain, half on central cloud. And it has to be a comprehensive ecosystem for the Web3 marketing or Web3 tools to coexist and talk to each other. It cannot be half in and half out. So if we move to the next slide, that's what I mean by truly Web3, which is, it starts with identity. Identity has to be established, secure, and anonymous. 100% on chain I already spoke about, which means from the website to the app to the NFT minting, let's say, to the storage, everything has to be on the chain. It cannot be broken half in between, saying now this part is taken to Amazon or this part is taken to Google Cloud, right? Ownership we spoke about. So tokenization, DAOization is the key. So let's just take a break. So for marketing, marketers need tools. For tools to be available, they need to be all this stuff that I'm talking about. But at the same time, they need to be scalable, right? They need to be, the biggest problem with Kim had touched about it, is making on-chain products is they're expensive, they're slow, and really they cannot be scaled up. So what at ICP we are trying to do with very, very high tech cryptography, etc., is to solve these problems, which is our blockchain runs at web speed, which by web speed I mean you won't feel you are on normal internet or blockchain. It hosts data 100% on chain. So dApps which are running on ICP are 100% on chain. It's infinitely scalable. So it's been designed to scale up, and it runs at low costs. And by low costs, I mean really low costs. So if you go to the next slide, the cost of let's say this presentation that I'm presenting right now, the cost of storing this on chain on ICP would be around 0.04 cents a year. Compared to Solana, it will be $826 a year. Ethereum, we are not even talking about. It goes in millions and millions of dollars. So when we're talking efficiency, we're talking efficiency in like leaps and bounds. We're not talking of a few percentage here and there or whatever. So it's been designed for this. It's been designed for building tools like these. And therefore, if you go to the next slide, please. This is happening, like we were talking about. You're going to have an app store which will have all these applications, which will be the new versions of Web3, of what you're being using on Web2. They will be hosted on chain. They will be fully integrated native Web3 apps. So it could be social media, metaverse, instant messaging, community tools, DeFi, finance, DAOs, blogging, everything that you use on your normal internet is going to be moving on to chain. And it's a small list. It's not even the complete list of applications which are either running right now or are going to be running. I'm going to share some examples in the next slide. So for example, we have an app which is running on the internet computer. It's called Discover, Discover.one. They recently got a huge round of funding. I don't know if it's clear over there, but what I mean by native Web3 is you have to have all the tools that the marketers need within the application, right? So what Discover has is, I'll just stand up and read this one. So you can send and receive airdrops within the application. You don't need to send people outside the applications, whether it be NFTs or tokens. You can create portals. By portals, I mean communities or channels which are token gated. So let's say you need to have this POAP token to enter the Web3 marketing community of Paris. And it can verify the NFT, and then only you become a part of that portal. It can have verified profile pics because it's all on chain, right? So you just put your NFT address and you have a profile pic which is verified on chain and within the portal. You create posts. You participate in interaction over there. You can get not just likes but tokens. So you can. So for example, if I like something you have posted and I really like it, I can send you tokens within the application. So for creators also, it's a big deal because everything is happening within the application. Like we have I've not put it here, but for example, we have a TikTok equivalent where imagine if creators on TikTok can enable people to vote on it, users vote on it and win. So let's say if the video does really well, voters get the tokens and win from it, and the creator it tokenizes the video that they have done. It's an NFT, and if it becomes popular, if it becomes viral, imagine where all it can go. They can fractionalize it, they can reward their users, they can do whatever they want to do with it. So this is happening as we speak. This is not theory. You can scan the code and go there. I've just put a few other examples of stuff happening on the ICP network right now. So the first one is this application called Portal. So it's actually kind of a Netflix kind of competitor where there are NFT gated projects, right? So for example, if you want to make a video series, you can access that series if you own a certain NFT, and the owners of the NFT are owners of that project because they decide where the storyline is going. They ensure that the video becomes famous or doesn't become famous. It's in the hand of the users of that, and at the same time, everybody is getting rewarded. The video is getting rewarded. You don't need advertising. You don't need anything for it to go viral. The football one I put over there is something which is a Twitter equivalent. It's called Sears, and there the screenshot I have here is the current FIFA that's going on, and they're actually doing live betting within the application. So who will win? And you can win ICP tokens as the match progresses. The third one is called Catalyze, which is a Discord equivalent actually. They're just completely doing away with Discord and creating a whole community management tool out of it. So what I'll do is I'll just shift the focus a little bit now, and let's get a little hands dirty. I would request all of you, not he's spoken, I've spoken, and all of it is talk unless you experience it yourself, right? So I'd request you to please scan this token, scan this QR code. After scanning this QR code, you'll get your what we call an internet identity. Yeah, it's probably the only completely private and anonymous identity in the blockchain space available. Once you go there, you say create an anchor. I think that's what it is called. If you have any troubles, I can put it live here and we can do it together. We don't need username, we don't need password, we don't need seed phrases. All we use is the fingerprint or the face ID of your phone. So it's literally like your face or your fingerprint becomes your identity, and that's how we do identity. And it's unique to the person. It's linked to the person. You don't need to tell me if you don't want to what your name is or your email ID is. It's as anonymous as that. At the same time, proof of personhood is quite included in this. Wow. So I'll just leave it for a moment, and please ask me questions if in case. Yeah.
What benefit do you have compared to Pesky? Like for example, that Apple manages that.
I'm sorry. You have to experience it before asking that. You have to experience it before asking that.
Okay.
Question.
Hi. So I don't know if you know Pesky. It's like the new thing from Apple, so that you don't need any passwords anymore, but just your biometrics. And what benefit does Internet Protocol?
But whatever you can use with that passkey is a Web2 product, right?
Currently, yes, but
Apple is not going the Web3 way at all.
But what if they transition also to that?
It'll happen. If it happens, it happens.
Are they competitors of you then, or why not? But why not?
Because they are dealing in a completely different space. They are not a Web3 integrated product at all, and they don't even have plans to go there. So or if you can add to it.
So you're looking at the Apple identity protocol. You kind of have to accept that, and so you have your Apple network, and then here the internet ICP is the ICP network.
It's another network altogether.
Yeah,
it's a different.
So it's a completely network of companies. So that's why the identities will only work within the network. So
that's Apple network. This is a different network. So it's competitor in a sense that if you're using an Apple, let's say a mail product or something, cloud product, and eventually if I convince you to move from a cloud-based email platform to a decentralized mail platform, that's my competition. It's not identity really. That's the education rather, not the. So I hope some of you got your internet identity set up. There's a number that you get which is called an anchor. Has anybody been successful? One person, 3, 4, 5 people. Okay, so you lucky people, if you go to the next slide, you'll experience how you can now if you scan this QR code, you'll directly go into what we have an instant chat application called Open Chat.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
I would like to know more about NFT domains, if you know.
In general or at
recently I discovered the NFT domain names.
Right.
And it allows us to replace the long URL with a simple domain names, which is decentralized.
Yes.
And currently with this domain, you can build a website on this decentralized. However, you can not host a dynamic website, simply a fixed website.
Static, you mean?
A static website. So I would like to know more about It's
Yeah, I can help you answer it. If you look at today, it's the NFT domain names is limited to IPFS. So IPFS is another protocol that is completely decentralized. That's why the dynamic data is difficult for them. And it is, and then you need to have another like a storage to put your website on. So you need to have Pinata, which is equivalent of cloud. And so, but then here you have a problem, like you have to pay for like a service that is going to host your data, and that is also another step that is equivalent to what we have now. The problem with IPFS is that you have to have that, like if you're going to use Chrome, you have to enable it, and today I don't know if Chrome even allows it, and that's a kind of a problem. Okay, and so if you use Brave browser, already IPFS is already integrated so that you can access those websites. But then Chrome, I think recently they rejected it. And so because I installed IPFS in my Chrome long time ago, it still works. But the thing is, I tried to do it recently for someone and it didn't work. So that's why you're looking at Google kind of playing defensive at the moment, right? They don't want to lose that business. And so we're still in the early stages. And so when you talk about that IPFS system, it's still different than internet computing. The ICP is a whole nother, like they have their whole nother domain name system that they have themselves.
Yeah, in fact, we can have a look at some of the domain. In fact, if you scan this, you will directly go to a ICP DApp, which is on a normal domain name, but is served from the blockchain.
Yeah, from the ICP.
From the ICP network. Yeah. So if you whoever has that internet identity can now scan this, enter an open chat, which is the equivalent of or a competitor of WhatsApp, where it's completely private. You use your same internet identity which you created, you enter the number, and you are inside the app again. So the entire world of the ICP applications you can use only by internet identity. You don't need to create another login, another ID, another username, another password to go wherever you're going. It's one number, 16-digit number, which is your identity. And if you go to this one, I've created a little group there called the Web3 Marketing Paris group. So you can join in there, and we can do some fun things in that group. Please join later whenever you can.
I just have a question. Like for ICP, if I can use my Google browser, how does it? So it's kind of like a redirect then. So I use a website address in the www, and then it will redirect me to a ICP. ICP. Oh, okay. So can you explain that a little bit?
So it automatically redirects itself to something that in our language we call it a canister.
Yeah, canister.
And the canister holds the data, the website, the smart contracts written behind it, etc. So it would probably sometimes you'll see the canister ID as the URL, because it really shows that's where the internet. That's where the website is getting hosted from.
Yeah, so but it integrates into the www World Wide Web, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
Right, it's integrated. So the idea here is that you can really, as some of you are experiencing it, you can use blockchain technology in simple forms from a simple browser without going through creating a wallet, having tokens, installing 20,000 things, and being slow and expensive with gas fees. So
and being blocked by Google.
And then being blocked by Google. So that's the power of it. It's about how marketeers then kind of get out, use these tools, because these are integrated native Web3 tools that we are building. I think I have a few other slides. So actually what you've done now, whoever created the internet identity, you've created an anonymous login. Next slide. You've been served directly on your server, which uses HTTPS, but a decentralized ICP through the blockchain without you even realizing it. You've created a wallet without even knowing, because your internet identity is connected to a wallet as well. You've sent messages on chain through open chat. So you've interacted with the blockchain already. You've used what we call a reverse gas fee model. I'll just explain what reverse gas fee model is. Most blockchains have what is called gas fees. So let's say when you buy an NFT on OpenSea, there's a portion of it which is gas fee, which is typically quite hype cycle related to a large extent. What we've done is we've reversed it. It's more like a Web 2 model where a developer pays the cost of running an application, the user pays zero. So it's a reverse gas fee. The user does not pay gas fee at all. It's like running any other application. Facebook pays for the servers, right? The user does not pay for the server. So the same thing happens here as well. And you've experienced on-chain storage because whatever texting you must have done is all stored on the blockchain. So all that has happened in this room in 5 minutes, just because the technology is easy to use. It's there to be explored.
Bravo.
Yes. And last but not the least, all this has to, for it to be scalable, it has to be green and sustainable. And we really do believe in green and sustainability. We've done studies where it shows a transaction on ICP has a lesser carbon footprint on one Google search. So that's something there. And obviously the chart is there to compare it to other blockchains, and we are far, 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 far lower than the other blockchains. So scale has to come with sustainability in our ethos. And yeah, that's just some social connect platforms.
Wow.